You might expect a place that's rural and isolated to not have any crime concerns, but today we're going to take a look at the neighborhood called Greenbriar on the north side of Lehigh Acres. Let's look at it on a map and let's get out there and we'll see what this neighborhood is about. And yes, I do have a sunburn. On today's video, we're going to be looking at Greenbriar, a neighborhood on the north side of Lehigh Acres that has been requested by a lot of viewers. Now, I know this neighborhood is an area where people go mudding ATVs, have wild parties, and dump entire vehicles that homeless people start to live in. But I found out that there's a lot more to Greenbriar than that. There's actually entire communities being built out here, and I spent some time in the residential neighborhoods just to get a feel for what the actual neighborhoods look like. Now, I had no idea that there's more to Greenbriar than just ATV trails and places where you go off-roading at 3 o'clock in the morning until somebody gets shot. And then hundreds of ATVs start running away from Lee County Sheriff's officers. So I spent an entire day in the Greenbriar neighborhood. I explored it. I talked to the people that live here. And I'm going to give you guys a realistic understanding of this neighborhood. Yes, the area does have great ATV trails, but they're also building entire communities out here. And the thing is, if you end up in one of these communities where you have a lot of neighbors, you're going to be generally a lot safer. What you want to avoid in this neighborhood is buying a home that stands out all by itself, because like I said, there's a lot of ATV trails and that makes you a prime target for a home invasion robbery or for just a random break-in. Before you buy a property out here, I would definitely recommend that you spend an entire weekend on the area and you understand how much traffic the neighborhood has. You could end up in a really quiet corner where nobody goes through, or you could end up on the entrance of one of the trails where perhaps hundreds of people are trying to enter your community during the weekends. And again, it is illegal to ride an ATV. That doesn't mean people don't do it. Even police officers will wave past you as they see you on your ATV. So while it's not technically legal to do it, there's so many people that do it that live in the neighborhood that it's not frowned upon. Let's go in and take a closer look at the vegetation of the area. As you can see, there's this just absolutely massive oak tree here. It's pretty big. That's an old tree. And these open, kind of cleared out areas like this, a lot of times it's kind of from hogs coming through here. And some of these big boars can actually be pretty big and pretty dangerous. So let's just get up out of here. So as you can see, it's swampland. Not good for investing. All right, so recently had a subscriber ask us about Greenbriar. Is it a good place to live or invest or buy an empty lot or something like that? Well, I'm going to show you guys kind of what it looks like out here in Greenbriar. Absolutely beautiful, but as far as investing out here, there's a few things I would look out for. First of all, most of it is swampy, as you can see. And these swampy areas are areas that attract black bears, attract wild hogs. So actually it's pretty sketchy and dangerous to be in here. Especially open areas like this in the woods, because it's just prime territory for a black bear or wild hogs, coyotes, all of that's out here. So I don't know if a tornado came through here, or if somebody came back here and cleared this area, but see, there's a big oak tree here. Also, homeless camps people build out here. It's a good possibility. Look at the size of this oak tree. If you're looking to invest in empty lots, I would definitely recommend that you walk the lot, carefully investigate it before you make a purchase, because there's a lot of gopher tortoises out here. These animals are protected, and if you buy an empty lot where a tortoise lives on, you're not going to be able to build a house. Therefore, anybody looking to invest in land out here needs to be extraordinarily careful. These tortoises are very slow-moving animals. However, I found out that if you play music from the Island Boys, they'll get going away from you pretty quick. While being in the neighborhood, I met people from Cuba, Haiti, Jamaica, Salvador, and Colombia. It seems to be a very diverse neighborhood. The nature of this place definitely makes it special, and there are a lot of families with children. However, I will give you a warning that despite the fact that there is great wildlife, turtles, birds, butterflies, and a lot of plants and animals for your family to enjoy, and there are a lot of families with children out here, a lot of these places are pretty much just abandoned places that people go to get in trouble, drink, drive ATVs, and shoot at stuff that's not moving. Alright guys, so on this empty lot in Lehigh Acres, there's a big turtle nest. It's not the only one here. I think this guy's a big male. That's his nest. And you can clearly denote his footprints coming in and out of here. And he could actually have other animals he lives with. But there's actually a big cave there, freshly dug out. That's where he lives. He's probably not out and about right now, but compared to other places in Southwest Florida, you'll get to see a lot of wildlife out here. If you're looking for a rural feel, a place where you can drive your ATV or four-wheeler and maybe just have a mud truck you can go off for the weekend, you'll love living in this area of Lehigh Acres. However, if you like peace, quiet, and people not screaming at 3 in the morning, it may not be the type of place you want. It's a place that is extremely tranquil during the weekdays and, well, kind of wild during the weekends. And the ability to see nature and wildlife, to me, seems like a great plus. The isolation comes with good things, and it also comes with a lot of bad. This area reminds me of what the Golden Gate Estates used to be many years ago. A place that was quiet and tranquil, but at the same time wild. From what I could tell, it seems like the newer homes that are being built on the east side of Greenbriar are running about 80% Latino population, and that includes Haitians, which are considered Latinos. Now, it seems like on the west side of Greenbriar, it's more retired older folks, but again, it's really hard to tell the demographics of the area when there's so many new homes being built. If you're picky about your garden, this may not want to be a place you put on your list. There seem to be a lot of wild hogs, and while riding the ATV, I did see a lot of wild hog footprints. These wild hogs will completely annihilate your garden. There's also a lot of armadillos and other pests, so if you want to have a garden with a lot of plants, you're going to have a hard time keeping the animals off your garden. Now, I had been familiar with this area due to the ATV trails, and I understood it was just a lawless, wild area. But after spending some time in the area and seeing a lot of the other parts of the neighborhood, it really does seem like there's a lot of nice newer homes being built. And if you want a secluded, quiet place, you may actually like living here. There is one thing that I do not like, and that there's starting to be a lot of duplexes going in. Duplexes really have a way of making neighborhoods go to crap. They are brand new duplexes, and they do look pretty, but nonetheless, rental properties are bad. But with the price of housing in places like adjacent Naples, where a 2-2 that's old is going for nearly $1 million, to be able to build a house out here for less than $300 is pretty much a win nowadays. To me, it beats living in one of these new communities where your neighbors are on top of you. I mean, you really get a lot of open space out there. You're still close to the city of Fort Myers, where there is a lot of work. There's a lot of really good Cuban restaurants in Lehigh Acres. So if you like Latin food, Cuban, Puerto Rican, Haitian, all that you'll find in Lehigh Acres. Great Latin food. When it comes to other bigger chain restaurants, there's really not a lot of. But there it is. For an affordable price in a very secluded area, you can have your own piece of the rural Florida, and you're going to be about an hour and 10 minutes from some Florida beaches like Bonita Springs or Naples. So I recently had a subscriber ask me about Greenbriar, and the first thing that came to mind was like, yo, we just go out there and ride ATVs and off-road. doesn't seem like a place you really want to live full time. But after seeing the new homes that are being built out there, I can definitely see it being a good option. And I did talk to one of the local residents, and I was like, yo, what's it like to live out here? And he said one time the police came knocking on his door wanting to know if people were riding ATVs in the neighborhood. And he was like, no snitching, son. We don't talk to the po-po out here, man. That's what he told me. He said, no snitching, dog. No snitching. So one thing I do like about living in Lehigh Acres, and I do live in the Lehigh Acres area now, is that there is no snitching. Like, if the cops even don't, like I literally been on an ATV, and I literally put up to a stop sign, and there was a police officer at the stop sign. And I was like, I'm definitely going to get a ticket for riding my ATV on a main road. And the cop was just like, waved me on by. I was like, okay, so definitely no snitching out here. Everybody's just trying to do their own thing. And that's a really good, you know, riding ATVs and stuff like that is pretty much part of the American culture. In this area here, the people that are moving in, I think, are about 80% Hispanic. And these communities, they're not familiar with the ATV culture yet. So it's kind of like the people that are moving in may not be as fond of ATVs as the people that are wanting to do that. So like in my case, I've noticed that when I drive my ATV through areas that are like 80-70% Hispanic, that a lot of the people in those areas, like, don't even put out like nails and stuff to make sure you get flat tires while you're riding your ATV. So it seems like eventually what's going to happen in Lehigh is that once it gets filled in, it's going to be like Cape Coral, where they don't allow you to ride your ATV anymore because there's so many people complaining. But at this point, most people who move out there, they kind of understand that it's kind of the boondocks, and hopefully it stays like that for a long time. And the only reason we can even talk about this is because it's already on the news with the situation in Cape Coral. I lived in Naples, and it's one of the most niche-a-thon places you could ever live. I hope I never have to live in a place like that ever again. Last time I drove my ATV in Naples, and yes, I have driven my ATV through Naples, literally ended up sending a helicopter out for me. Yeah, they sent out a helicopter. Luckily, helicopter came at the last minute, and I was already loading up my ATV to leave. But yeah, they literally sent out a helicopter. And the way that works is if they had been able to locate me, then they would charge me for having to deploy the helicopter for me. So like, let's say you're riding your ATV through Naples, they send a helicopter, the helicopter finds you, cops locate you, when they pull you over, they're gonna charge you for having to deploy a helicopter. So that's places like Naples and Cape Coral where the notion of riding an ATV definitely isn't a notion. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because it's on the news. Every single news outlet, from Wink to NBC2, all of the local news sources are already, like, it's on the news already. Like, I'm not just talking about this to talk about it. So it is the talk of the town. Everybody in Southwest Florida is talking about it. There's been multiple news reports about people driving ATVs, and the Greenbriar area is almost infamous for it. But like I said, it's a really remote area. As you can see, I've been trolling on Facebook saying that it was Katie who was driving the ATV through Cape Coral. She went to the Starbucks for me in an ATV. I also got in this Cape Coral Facebook group, and I posted an ad asking what would be a good place to drive around ATVs in Cape Coral. Somebody was like, yo, this isn't Lehigh Acres. You can't just drive your ATV to the Starbucks in Cape Coral.